I think this app is at the beginning of a new revamp of the music industry, especially COVID.
Well, hello. So in this conversation that I have with Mr. Rob Murphy, I learned a very cool fact about Nova Scotia in Canada. Talk about Rob's songwriting journey, him using We Should Write Sometime, and has a wonderful story about him connecting with a wonderful songwriter from Australia while geolocating to Nashville and writing some amazing music. And he's got his EP coming out here soon in 2021. And enjoy the conversation. I was like, gosh, I got to reach out to him.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. And like, this is my pleasure. And I think super excited to chat with you for a while. But yeah, easy going conversation, like no real plan. It's just kind of spitballing on it. But thanks for taking some time out and chatting with me.
Cool.
Yeah, man. So if you wouldn't mind, just like where a little bit of your background and story and how you got into songwriting would be awesome.
Oh man, I'm from a little island off the east coast of Canada called Cape Breton. Well known for its Celtic music.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so we have more fiddle players per capita than anywhere in the world here. It's
wait, say that again.
More fiddle players per capita than anywhere in the world. That's true.
I mean,
but
if that's something to be yeah, that's something to be proud of. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so we're world renowned for our Celtic music. Lots of songwriters have come out of here. There's only a population maybe 100,000 people, and there's a lot of great artists here, and I've been lucky to grow up around some really great songwriters. I mean, Gordy Sampson's from here.
Yeah,
he's written a couple.
Yeah,
you know, and the Bear McNeils, the Rankins. But besides the Celtic music scene, there's also a country scene here. Man, there's like metal, you name it. There's every genre, and it's cool because you'll have like somebody that plays in. There's a band here called Fire Valley Fire, and they're unbelievable, and they're a hard rock band, but the singer also does like Damien Rice kind of acoustic stuff.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's just a great atmosphere and bunch of musicians to be around, and we all feed off each other, and I absolutely love it here.
That's super cool. And so you said you've been to Nashville a handful of times?
No, I've only been there once.
Gotcha.
And I was actually planning on pre-COVID to, I applied for the SoCan house up down there. So obviously that got a wrench thrown in it. I didn't get accepted, but I wanted to be part of that.
Yeah.
And hope
and what
in the future.
Exactly is that?
So the Songwriters Association of Canada, that's ASCAP BMI.
Right.
They have a house down in Nashville that you can stay at for very minimal fees. So it would be funded through the government up here, SoCan, and they have one, I believe, in Los Angeles, Paris, and Nashville.
Oh, super cool.
So yeah, you go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you apply, you go down, and you have to schedule some co-writes for other songwriters down there, and yeah, you just let it happen.
Super cool. And then how long were you here when you came down?
We were there for about 7 days.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great. I made a lot of new friends. Got to play the open mic at the Bluebird, and
man.
Was it Douglas Corner, the place that shut down? Yeah, got to play there. I played there for their open mic, and
super cool.
It was, I met a lot of great people, and it's very similar to, although it's larger than Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
The whole vibe around the city, I mean, not Broadway, but it's very similar in the aspect that it's not a real fast-paced city. And
right.
Me and my wife, we absolutely enjoyed it there, and I can't wait to go back again. Yeah.
Wow, that's super cool. And when were you here again?
Would have been October 6th.
October. Got it.
Yeah, so we were there for Tootsie's birthday party, and that was our last night. So it was pretty wild. Yeah.
Wow. And so when you were down here, like, did you just kind of had that whole sense of I want to play as much as I can and meet as many people as I can, or was there kind of like a set schedule that you had before even coming down here?
Well, we got married a year ago, so it was kind of our honeymoon. We just waited for a year to do it.
Yeah.
So when I got down there, we had plans to places we wanted to go.
Yeah.
I do have friends down there that mostly that I made when I was down there, actually, but I have some that I made online. There's a young girl, Bailey James, her and her family, they're really kind to me and stuff. And I met a lot of great artists when I was down there in such a short period of time. It was really cool.
That's really awesome. And so how'd you get into the songwriting world?
I've been writing for, probably 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was basically, I was married young, had kids when I was young, and that kind of the marriage kind of fell apart. And the first thing I turned to was music.
Wow.
And I started writing. My great uncle, who's a songwriter from this area, he told me when I was very young, probably the age of 12, he said, whenever something's bothering you, just write it on a piece of paper and throw it in the garbage. Get it out of your head, get it on paper. And so I started writing when I was probably 12, 13 years old. And so then I met my wife, and she's very supportive of me. And and then I wrote my first song called 300 Days in 2017. It was February, and we had a little bump in the road here as far as teenage suicide. And although we live in this beautiful, beautiful place, like many places in the world, mental health is kind of swept under the rug.
Sure.
So I wrote this song called 300 Days, and I put a little video online that I made, and it kind of went viral. And then I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to take this serious, and I'm going to start recording. So then I just started writing, man. I started writing, and the following October, I lost my job. I got laid off. And I just went on unemployment insurance up here. And I said, I'm going to take a break and reset. And I treated songwriting as a job. So every morning I'd get up, I'd get showered, I'd get dressed, and I'd sit down with my computer and my pen and my paper, and I'd start writing. If I wasn't writing, I was watching YouTube videos of, people like Ralph Murphy and some of these great, and other videos, like where John Muir talks at Berkeley and stuff,
Yeah. He looks so young when he does those, but I love that when he does that. It's crazy.
I know he's at my age.
Yeah.
But so I really took that up as an opportunity to learn. And I learned a lot over that year. And I started to dabble in songwriting because I don't plan on writing a song. It usually just comes out. And like the other night, I sat down to do a demo of a song that I was doing for a grant, and I ended up writing a completely different song.
Yeah.
Because I started picking my guitar and something just flowed out.
Yeah.
I do love this whole co-writing experience online, because for one thing, it makes me realize how small the world is. I wrote a song called Ghosts, and I got some play on a little Sobro radio down in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, some guys played it, and but what I learned from that, it was a song about a small coal mining town of 4,000 people that I grew up in Canada.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was getting it was getting airplay in Australia in the South, and I realized, you know what? It doesn't really matter where you're at in the world. We all have the same issues. We're all pissed off at our governments. We're all, our parents didn't pay enough taxes. They didn't set us up. But it's so it became like known to me that I just love how small this world is, and this app really. I've met about probably 20 friends now through the app, and 2 of them I've co-written me and Greta actually wrote last night again. That's our third song.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Yeah, it's just great.
So how did you get your song on Sobro radio? Like, what were the steps and process to make that happen? Because that's super cool.
So before Ghost, I released a song called You. That's the song I actually wrote in Nashville when I was there in October.
Yeah.
Because what I liked about Nashville, and just like here, is that people think it's Celtic music. You know, there they think you're always getting country music.
Mm-hmm.
But half the bars I walked into was rock. You know.
Yeah.
So I had this great vibe of just some good feeling freaking around the campfire, a tune, right? And I already had a little something nugget in my pocket, so I wrote it, and I made it a duet with a friend of mine, a female artist that I just admire. Her name's Lila Ty. She's from this area, but she lives on the other side of the country in Alberta. But she happened to be home, so we recorded it. And when you do a song through DistroKid, when you use that as your distributor, they have a little thing you can click, and for a pre-sale thing, you can make a video. And one of it was a Friends clip from the TV show Friends, where Marcel the monkey goes to put a CD into the CD player.
Yeah.
And they're all standing there like Joey, and then they're standing there like, don't put that CD in. And when he does, your song comes on.
That's cool.
So I got an email from somebody from Sobro saying, hey man, can you send me the full version of that song that I saw? So what I did was I did a Facebook target in Nashville, and it must have came up on their Facebook.
That is awesome. And
yeah.
It's just one of those, because it's innovative, it's entrepreneurial, like you're taking it as a job, and so I'm super impressed. But it's like one of those where that's the type of stuff where I get questions all the time, like, how do I get this song in front of publishers, on radio, those type of things. So I always like to hear the process and things that people like you do, because it's thinking outside of the box, it's outside the norm, but it's also going like, you got to stand out, you got to try different things. And those are those steps where it's like, yes, let's take that and just share that innovation, and just thinking it's fantastic. So I love hearing that.
Thanks. Yeah, and I mean, it's tough as an independent artist to get your music out, right? Because we're all self-managed now at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need, it'd be great to have a record label pushing you, but you don't need that right now to get your music out there. And so it's hard to get in front. It's like there's a very small slice of the pie to give away now because of the sales from streaming media. So you have to learn all this stuff right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because we obviously still are super early in the app, and we have grand ambitions. And so can't thank you enough for using it and promoting it and tagging us in all those songs. And it's awesome. So are you finding most of the connections in Nashville or all over Canada, or where have you kind of found, out of those 20 some odd writers, where have you found them the most, I guess?
Most of them are in Nashville, or have come from somewhere to Nashville. Crystal Lemur, I think she's from the Midwest, and then I wrote with somebody from New York a few weeks ago.
Awesome.
And then Jesse Slack and Daryl, they're from Toronto. Yeah, he's big in that app, man. He's always posting stuff.
Well, and it's, that's why I want to take the time and showcase what you guys are doing and make it more about the songwriters than necessarily about the app, because the app is pretty simple right now, right? It's like, how do we just put two people in a room or virtual room? And we have a lot of features we're going to be rolling out to help streamline a lot of that process that you talk about, from, hey, I have an idea, well, I need a co-writer, or it's, I need somebody else to help with the lyrics if I'm really good at the melody, whatever that is. And I guess, one of the things I'm always interested is just kind of the experience of when you're looking through profiles on the app, like what are the things that you do to check out to say, hey, this is somebody I want to swipe right on, or man, just maybe not for me. What is that for you typically?
I want to see somebody that puts some thought into their profile.
Yeah.
I don't want to see 3 lines. I want to be able to go on their Instagram and see that they are not putting, not that there's no, I have puppy pictures on mine.
I get it.
But I don't want to see like pictures of people, doing shots at a park. I want people that are taking their music Instagram, they have the personal one, whatever.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your music profiles, I want it to be serious and entertaining. And the other thing is I want to be able to go on their Spotify, just like the can of mine. I find a lot of us on the app have about the same amount of monthly listeners.
Yeah.
100 to 200, some in the thousands.
Yeah.
So I find that everybody's pretty well level, which I really like.
Yeah.
And almost everybody I met is in the exact same spot.
Yeah.
We all know somebody, and stuff like that. And, we've met the people, but it's almost like you're on the same level where you're comfortable. Like I don't feel intimidated or anything like that there. And I don't bring that to them. But that's the one thing that I want when I look at a profile is I want a professional photo and I want a professional profile. I think that's extremely important.
Yeah. And again, like I know just from where I sit, when I look at it, there's so much that I am embarrassed by because it's just, I know there's things wrong with it. And I know there's just little things that, from an early app that I'm embarrassed by, but like, I just want to make sure, still at this stage, it's like, hey, what are the main things that we need to provide so that people can set up the best co-writes that work for them, and like in the very beginning, I mean, Rob, we didn't have Facebook or Google login. We didn't have notifications. You couldn't and I say all that because we take after, one of the guys that I listen to all the time from a tech entrepreneurial perspective with Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn. And he said, if you're not embarrassed by your first release, then you've launched too late. And we've taken that to heart a little bit because when we first started developing this, there were so many things that we know we're going to start building in over the next 6 months that are going to just help all of the friction points that we know happen within the app now, but then add additional value to make it easier for you to find the right people, but then start building out, and these are the things that are coming next, right? Is start building out almost like a tiered model or system with saying, hey, like, for those writers, like, we want to help you get to that next level with writing up. If you want to write with professional songwriters, how do we help you kind of get there? Or if you already are a professional songwriter and have a pub deal or whatever, you can see all of the other people kind of at your level. So you're almost able to find and be in front of, whether it's potentially just, writers that have a pub deal or whatever those things are. We're still playing out with all of the options with that. But I think it's, for us, it's kind of how do we help a songwriter, no matter where they are in their career, whatever their goal is, whether it's to be their own artist or write for other people or do sync or whatever, they're saying, hey, this is what I want to do. How do we help them get to that next level? Kind of like a farm system for the MLB. Like, you got single A, double A, triple A, then the majors. How do we help you go from single A to double A, or if you're in triple A, and we have a long way to go, right? Like it's kind of this big old 5-year goal type thing, but this is the type of stuff that we love to hear because it's, hey, I feel comfortable because most of the people are kind of at that same level. One of the things we updated earlier this year was if you don't have a complete profile, you're not going to be seen.
Yeah, I love that.
And that got rid of a lot of the stuff, and it's easy to be like, well, why didn't you make that in the beginning? And it was like, do you make it, when you first get on an app, do you make it harder for people to finally get seen? Or is it just like, let's make it as easy as possible for them to get on the app, and then they'll fill out the stuff, and then it's kind of on them to showcase, hey, I'm taking this seriously. I'm going to put thought into the bio. I'm going to put all my links to my socials and Instagram. And so, you know, it's those kind of updates and fixes that we want to make sure align with how, you know, users are using it, and if it is of value to them. Because to your point, when I look at some of the bio, and I'm on it all day long, pretty much just kind of chatting with people and looking at bios, and it's one of those where I'll reach out to some and say, hey, like, I know you have a short bio in here, and that's fine, right? If it's just, hey, I'm checking it out, get whatever the case may be, trying to offer some advice, because where it breaks away a little bit from the dating apps, you know, philosophy. It's like, hey, you're just kind of swiping through people, and here it's, you know, it's kind of more of the LinkedIn. It's a hobby or a job, and you want to help progress the career. So let's make it a little easier to use wherever we can along the way.
It's really neat. I mean, and like you talked before about like areas, like, was I looking at Nashville? Like me and Greta, she's from Melbourne, Australia, and I'm by Sydney, Nova Scotia, right? And she's by Sydney, Australia, and we both met geo-targeting Nashville, right?
I love that.
And you know, some people on the app you're not going to click with,
right?
Just like a dating app, I guess.
100%.
Yeah. But some, like me and her, man, we just snap, right? And it's great.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, and that makes me so happy. And I'll go back to the question I had, and that's a lot of the reason we kind of followed the same user experience as those dating apps, because, you know, the joke is songwriting is a lot like dating. And, you know, when you're here in Nashville, you can walk down the street and meet 10 songwriters just by walking down the street. But in the same thing as dating, you know, like, you know, you want to know more about them, and you want to know if there's a potential for it to be a better connection. And that's something that those dating apps do, is kind of gives you a preview almost of a little bit of a vetting of, hey, they like the same things I like, or XYZ. But in the core of it, it's the time saving aspect of it, because you could walk down the street and meet 10 songwriters and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, we should write sometime. Ha. But then you get in a room with them and you're like, I wish I would have known a little more about you before I got in a room with you. Because we just spent all this time, 15 minutes back and forth, just chatting. And then it's, you know, if you're physically in the same city, then you're driving somewhere, sitting in a room with them. And then you're like, this just doesn't jive well with me. You know, how much time is that over the course of, you know, a career of songwriting versus a quick, hey, like, you know, good songwriter, but just not somebody, it's just not for me, swipe left. You know, maybe you save 15 minutes. So if you 4 of those and you saved an hour, that's kind of how we want to look at it, is not necessarily, hey, let's get everybody the most rights they can. It's let's help songwriters get the best rights they can for what they're looking for. And all it takes is, and then I'll kind of swing back to it. And all it takes is, you know, when you guys are writing those songs, what is kind of the process for you when it comes to the capturing of the lyrics and the melody, whether it's through the track or, you know, recording of it, and then what do you do after the co-write, I guess?
So right now, I'll give you an example. Me and Greta wrote this song called Old Friends, and we wrote it around the time John Prine passed away. And I was like, I'd love to write a John Prine type tune, and that's kind of how it started. And then we're like, she had a little line that went, well, your old friends always have secrets, right? So basically, when I sit down with somebody, I'm like, hey, you know, what are you thinking? And sometimes you're meeting with somebody that hasn't been writing for a long time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll meet with somebody that's been writing their whole life, like myself, and I have a drawer over there with probably 20 scribblers of lines, right? So I'll start looking through my phone. I'll be like, oh, what about this here one? In this case, Greta said, oh, old friends out, they can always bury you because somebody always knows your secret.
Yeah, I love that.
So it's like, oh, friends, you got the body, I got the shovel. And I went, whoa, getting us in a whole lot of trouble, right? So
that's good.
It was just this great little John Prine type line. And we just ran with it. And now I'm actually in the process of doing my first full album. Nobody does albums anymore. I'm doing one.
I love be different, man. Be different.
Yeah. So now I'm in the process of, I just actually got my vocal track or the tracking back a couple hours ago. It's going to go be mixed and mastered somewhere else. But I'm going to send the tracks to Greta in Australia, and she's going to record the backing vocals on it.
Wow. What program are you using to do all of that?
So I use Studio One, and I believe she's using Logic.
Okay.
But as long as we get the WAV file, my programmer uses both of them. My engineer and the mix and master, they all use Pro Tools.
Sure.
I like Studio One because I find it very user friendly for somebody who doesn't want to or have a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it gives me an opportunity to take when I leave the studio and he can send that to me, I can kind of play around with it in my ear and hear what I'd like her to be changed.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that I'm sending this to Greta, and I wrote another song with a lady by the name of Sarah Harrelson. She's in Nashville about 3 weeks ago, and that's going to be on my album, and she's going to do backing vocals with that as well. So she uses Pro Tools, but I love the fact that with technology, that opportunity is there for, duets without ever meeting the person.
I mean, I get tingles and chills you talking about that because, full transparency, like we're at that stage now, with thousands of songwriters in the US, Canada, Australia, and open up in Israel, like so excited to hear songs from, you're from a town that's typically, most fiddle players per capita, and somebody from Australia, and like what that sound is going to be like, and the evolving like genres that could potentially come out of all of this, right? Like there's the selfish part for me to go, man, having, a top liner from LA connecting with a track guy from Israel, and then melodies from Nova Scotia, and you're just like, what is going to come out of this? But I say all that because there is that selfish part for us at this stage of, I want to promote the hell out of any song that's fully done, right? Because for us, what we get asked even now, and this is that thing that we get really excited about, is to kind of go, well, we want to create this ecosystem and this environment of, if you're a great songwriter and you're working really hard, right? Like those two things, then we will do our damnedest and best to get you to wherever you want to go. Just keep writing great songs. And then eliminating that feel of, you got to be on Music Row. You have to be here. You have to know the right people. You have to know these, and I think that's the case in music. You got to know the right people and all those things. But I'm thinking farther ahead and just being like, I just want Rob to write music, and like, we'll take
that's awesome.
And it's that kind of like puppy dogs and, rainbows and, beautiful sky vision part of it. But like, that's what we think, because, I think songwriters, I always say, and cheesy as it is and cliche, it's like songwriters to me are the heart of the music industry. And it's like, they're often treated like the worst out of most players within the industry, I feel like. And how do we, at this early stage, just go, look, just help them write songs with the right people. again, it goes back to that whole thing for me of, we get asked all the time, like, hey, who are the most swiped on people on the app, right? And this is an interesting thing for us. But there's a lot to the industry that we can start opening up when it comes to. There is Rob in Canada, Greta's in Australia. They met in Nashville. Listen to this song, right? That's going to help, selfishly, right? Like, full transparency, we want that win. We want that win of, put out this album. It's, got interest with this writer, got a pub deal through it. It got on hold. It got cut. It's a number one. Like, those steps to that process, man, we want that so bad that yeah. And I'm always open about what we're trying to do, but I think it's always putting you guys first, in knowing that, right? Like, and that kind of helps us, it's a mutual beneficial relationship. It's like, hey, we're going to we'll take you to the publishers that we know, that we can knock on their door, and they will listen to the songs that we send them. But it's just kind of like, they want it. They don't take unsolicited songs. So you have to have kind of that network and the relationship piece, right? So we want to make sure the songs that we know that come out will fit typically what they're looking for, but then also are good songs, right? So it's kind of like that chicken and the egg thing for us a little bit at the moment, but yeah, we're super excited for any songs that we can hear that come out of it, which is why I'm like, I gotta talk to Rob. He's tagging us, and I'm hearing these songs, and I'm getting super jacked. So
Thank you.
Yeah, man. When's the album come out?
So my plans. So basically, what I did, and I talk to my wonderful American friends all the time about this.
Yeah.
But it's a good time to be Canadian right now because the government is just socialism isn't that bad. So basically, so what the government did up here to help protect the artists get through this was we get, I don't know, like $2,000 a month from the government because we're all losing our gigs, and we've lost our gigs, and we have to claim what we make, and that's taken away from the $2,000. Okay. Yeah. What they've also done is we have what's called our MIAs, Music Industry Associations up here. Probably the same down there. So in Cape Breton, we have two in our province, Music Nova Scotia, Cape Breton Music Industry Cooperative. So what they got funding through our federal government, which gave me access to a grant, non-repayable grant. Yes. Yeah. And
yes, please.
So now I have, until to May to work on this album, and half of it's covered. So I'm doing February, March, and April. I'm releasing 3 singles with 3 videos. Nice. May 1st, I'm releasing another song called East Coast Sky, and it also coincides with the East Coast Music Awards, which are in the city that I live in, or next to. Awesome. So all of what encompasses the East Coast of Canada outside of Quebec, that part of Canada, that's the ECMAs, East Coast Music Association. So I purposely did that, so when they come to town, I have a brand new album that I'm launching.
It's awesome.
Old Friends is going to be released first, and I can't wait. The one that I did with Greta. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be reaching out to my social media followers and asking them to send me pictures of their old friends.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right, and I'm going to be putting snippets of the song out with just pictures of them and their friends. Now, there's kind of a little bit of marketing thing here, because the more people that have their pictures in my video, the more people are going to share them snippets, the more people are going to save my song. And the video itself is really cool. Quick story. 3 weeks ago, I was playing at a little bar here, and there was these 4 old ladies, and I shouldn't say old ladies. That's taboo.
It's fine.
My mom would slap
it's
me.
not lying.
So they were like in their, I'd say, early 70s, and twice a month they go out and they have wine at a bar and they have supper. But they stayed and watched my show until 9:00. And 2 weeks later, I was playing in where I work. Actually, it's called Governor's Pub. So I was playing in the pub, and I'm like, I know them ladies over there, and they're like, yes, play our song. And old friends, they call that their song.
Oh, I love it.
So they're actually going to be in the video.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat,
You got a good marketing mind on you, my friend.
Well, my background, sales and marketing, it's just, I went back to, I was going to be a bartender. I always wanted to be a bartender, and I left it to go into, and I did insurance and advertising, sales and stuff. And I really missed the hospitality industry, which kind of goes hand in hand with the music industry. Well, it absolutely does. So I'm proud to be part of that, and I love it. I love talking to people and meeting people and meeting musicians, and the app's really it's really enlightened me to get my feet going, because and I love it because there's so many, not only, and some people I've met on this app that because lots of people want to be songwriters. Not everybody can be a songwriter.
Right.
I think it's in our bones. I don't think it's something that can be learned.
Right.
I think it's the way we're wired. And if you look at somebody like, I don't think Jason Isbel ever sat down and learned the theory of how to write a song. It's
just telling stories, right?
It's telling stories, right? And it's putting them to a melody. So I've sat down with a couple of people so far in the app, and they're like, A, B, or the Nashville chart. And I'm like, oh,
okay. Yeah.
Let's just have some fun here and write a song.
Right. Well, and that's interesting you bring that up, though, right? And I think and I hear a lot of feedback of those communications, right? And my brain always goes to, how do I make that easier for you to not, and I'm not going to say like that couldn't turn into a great song, because it's a different philosophy, if you will. And we always have to balance the, I guess, technical intrusion on a creative process.
Yeah.
So we think about it a lot, right? And it's like, okay, what could help you in that situation to know that about these other songwriters, right?
And I don't mind that. As a songwriter, I don't mind that.
Yeah, right.
I might teach them something.
Exactly. And that's where I go, what is and maybe it isn't anything, right? Maybe it's just leave it how it is, or are there things, we had someone say, what would be really cool is if you had like which musicians or songwriters inspired you or inspire you type of field. Like, all of it's optional, right? But I get it's that balance between making the user and songwriter fill out, like a match.com huge 40-page profile versus just, get in a room and write and figure it out versus, you know what I mean? So it's like, what are the things that we can ask about, not require, that would help those type of things, and this is why I love these conversations. And it could be nothing. It could be one little thing. They'd be like, ask this question. Got it.
Or if a person does their bio right, I think they'll get that vibe though.
Yeah, right. And we need to do, I think, a lot more, content when it comes around that type of stuff. It's literally just me and my co-founder who runs his own nonprofit, which is amazing, and then interns. And unfortunately, we're in between semesters, and so I'm like, running around like crazy, and I'm like, when do you guys come back to school? Need you, because it's and obviously we'll figure that stuff out
on the hiring side down the road. But for now, right, it's like, okay, great. We want to put out as much relevant content as possible, and with the resources we have and the bandwidth and all that good stuff. But I appreciate that insight and feedback is, you pick that up from the bio stuff, because I, as you can probably imagine, it's all I think about. And I'm like, well, what can we do? What can we add? What would be better? And it's just like, don't overthink it, man. Don't overthink it.
No, don't, because it's like me applying to a festival or to showcase at a music festival, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things that you have to put in your bio. And the first thing that you want to put in is that Rob Murphy, blah, 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 is from here, and sounds, or, if you like the sounds of, I don't know, Jason Isbel, David Gray, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, geez, let's check this out, right?
Right.
So maybe one thing could be like how to write a bio, like something, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know how. I met a guy on there not too long ago, great kid. He left like Kansas, jumped in his car and moved to Nashville, and lived in his car for a week, got a job at McDonald's, saved up for an apartment. There's a country song right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
That's good. That's good, because I've done one clip of going through probably like 6 bios and breaking them down a little bit, but you bring up a good opportunity of, we do like the Songwriter of the Week, and we do Follow Fridays. Like we try to do the things that put all the songwriters first. Like, let's focus on them, because that's what it's all about. And you bring up a thing that I'm going to write down once we get done, where it could be, we'll figure out the catchy wording, phrasing of it. You're a marketing guy, help me out. But it could be like favorite profile of the week or something, and I talk about it, and just like something cool that they highlight, like real quick stuff. It's just to give some sort of just reminder of things to add into profiles, but not doing it in a way, remember guys, put all this stuff, but it's like, hey, look at this cool thing or something in this profile.
Oh, I mean, if I know that you're going to be pitching mine and Greta's song to some publishers, right, and getting in front of a publisher is not easy to do, because everybody's a songwriter, right? Like you said, I believe in quality over quantity, 100%.
Yeah.
So, if you throw it out there and say, listen, I'm going to be pitching songs for you guys, I need a bio, and I need a bio done correctly.
Yeah.
That like gives people a kick in the arse and be like, like if you took a song to a publisher and it said, Rob's from Cape Breton, I like drinking beer and sitting around campfires, like, publisher's going to look at that and go, who the frig is this guy? Right. And that was my first chance to, I brought Gordy Sampson's name earlier. That guy's my idol. He's from 30 minutes away. He's co-written Jesus Take the Wheel, God Your Mama and Me, Knocking Boots, all these, right? And they're the greatest family. His mom will outplay anybody in Nashville. She is, and she's an amazing lady, Flo. And I look at that and I'm like, I want one of them songs, right? Mm-hmm. Like I don't necessarily want to sing my own songs. Like I want to songwrite for other people. I want to be able to go to a publisher and then say, this would sound great in front of this person.
Yeah, and I love you saying that, because it's one of those where it reminds me that we are hopefully on the right path for what we're trying to do here, because you saying that, in my brain I go, exactly right. But it's also needing to make sure we're giving the right communication to all of our users and say, look, like, I don't necessarily want the notion to be, hey, send us a song and we're going to pitch it to these publishers, right? Like I want it to be a notion of, hey, like there's some gems in here and we want to find the right ones to then help progress, but they need to be done. Like they can't just be like a recording on the phone type thing. And it's playing within the market that it currently is, knowing that in the future, we can streamline some things. You know what I mean? It's like, we got to play within the system now in terms of like, what is the expectation is, but it's that feeling of going, hey guys, like we whether it's, you know, we want to put, if you want a song that you've written that isn't even with another person on the app, but it's on Spotify, like it's it's starting to create a We Should Write Some Time playlist of songwriters. And here's a bunch of, and then another playlist is originals from writers from the app that have connected, right? And so like building that catalog up enough to where users go, hey, look, like I want to hear songs from the app, but I never want to give that expectation of what other I don't want to bash any other organizations, but I know there's some organizations out there that you pay to pitch your song and get them in front of certain people. And
in front of certain people.
Exactly. And I'm like, how do I make sure we are as far away from that as possible?
Yeah.
And that's where like the wins, right, that you're talking about, that I'm talking about with you. And like, God, I'm so excited for that, because then it's, you know, then we can go, look, it wasn't a, hey, we promised this, but they wrote a great song. And when we hear a great song, we'll get it where it needs to go. And they're in 2 different continents. That story is what I dream about, right? Like,
yeah. It's an incredible feeling. It is like, and you talk about like quality songs, like recording, like making sure they're right. I mean, the first song you shared, Tell Me to Stay, the first one me and Greta did. Man, if I could get that in front of Kelly Clarkson, I have a good freaking royalty check.
For sure. And
it's a killer tune, right? And it just needs a big female freaking powerhouse of a voice.
I mean, and even that, right? Like that's a good point, because then it's okay, well, you know, the process to getting in front of Kelly Clarkson isn't a tag on Instagram.
No, it's not a DM.
You know, right? Like there's 50 steps in between I have a song for Kelly Clarkson and Kelly Clarkson cutting that song. If not 50 times 50, but it is that notion for us to go, okay, what's step 2, right, of 50? Like, let's just get from step 1 to step 2, and then we'll keep figuring it out. But like, not the, hey, sweet lady, and she DM'd me on LinkedIn and just said, I have a song for Dolly Parton. Can you help me? And I just said, you know, I can give you some direction of how this works. And, you know, that's about it. And I said, look, like she's got a team, she's got management, she's got publishing company. She she does all of her own song. Like, just, it's not something that's going to happen. And I said, but you know what? Like, reach out to these people and just see. And like a couple of days later, she messages me back on LinkedIn. She was like, thank you so much for your advice. I actually talked to Dolly's manager.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
this story is totally different than I thought it was going to go.
Which is why I'm bringing it up, because I was just like, okay, well, and you know, I guess I don't know exactly who Dolly's manager is, but off the top of my head, but she was like, yeah, like she spent a couple minutes talking to me and was really sweet. She said exactly like kind of what you said in terms of how that process works. And, you know, unfortunately, like, you know, it's not something that they're going to look at. But just, she thought it was really nice that her manager took a couple minutes to kind of reach out and talk to her.
Right.
But it is that thing of like, people do want to help each other in the industry.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very, you know, how do we take the gray of the music industry and make it a little more just, you know, like step 1 to step 2. And that's a whole other topic for a 12-hour conversation. But
I think this app is at the beginning of a new revamp of the music industry, especially COVID. We can't sit in rooms and co-write anymore. We can't play live anymore. Concerts are far and few between.
Right.
Musicians are not making money off concerts anymore, and we're making pennies,
Yeah.
a fraction of a penny on streaming media now. So
Yeah.
I think that this is really the beginning of looking at the music industry as a whole and going, okay, let's all sit back and see how artists can make money again.
Yeah.
Because world tours are done, and when they do come back to normal, do you think that somebody's going to be going and filling up a 100,000 seat stadium now?
Yeah.
Like, are the seats going to be next to each other? Nobody knows now what's going to happen.
Right.
So I think this is like such a great opportunity for you guys to have people, like, especially like from a distance, whether it's me here in Toronto or me and somebody in Nashville or me and somebody in Australia and I'm in Canada. The world, it's a small world now.
Yeah.
And
it's I cool. Appreciate you very much saying that. And I'm terrible at taking positive words like that. Because I take it, and I mean that in a way of like, it motivates me, right? But also like, is like, don't screw this up, dude. Don't screw this up.
Yeah.
But that's why we're doing it, right? I think because, things were growing organically before COVID, and you never want to, we're not grateful for the pandemic, but I think there was a plus side, if I'm looking at it through a positive lens, for us to go, hey, now it got some exposure because there is a tool out there that is helping songwriters connect. And that's what we need right now, because you can't be in the room with the same people. But how do you express yourself and stay in this world of like, well, let's write more songs. Well, how do you find them? And all those things. And but it helps me make sure that I don't that I step on the gas pedal even harder. And there's oftentimes, personally, I feel like I've jumped out of the airplane and haven't found the parachute just yet, but we'll figure it out. And, so I can't thank you enough, because this is exactly what I was hoping for. Because
I can't thank you guys enough, because I wouldn't have wrote these, 4 songs that are on my album 8, which meant I dumped 4 of my own songs because they just worked. Right? Like, that wouldn't have happened if you didn't have this. So,
well,
that's awesome.
That means more to me than I think you know. So I am super jacked to hear all of those songs when they're done. We are gonna crush it for you.
Thanks.
Because as I was saying, like I'm a transparent guy when it comes to this. There's wins on both sides for that. So it's like, hell yeah, let's get this to where it needs to go. And then we'll rock and roll from there. But just, what we'll do, right, is obviously we'll edit all this. One of my interns that was in last semester is going to continue on, but we've done like 4 or 5 kind of things similar to this. And she'll like edit it all so it looks good and cut out anything that we don't want. But then, we'll take snippets from it for additional social media stuff. But the one thing I always want to make sure that we capture is, just for you, where can, anybody that hears this or sees our conversation, where can they find you? Social, music, all that good stuff.
You can check it out on any of my social medias, or socials by to search Rob Murphy Music. It's Rob Murphy Music, MURPH is my tagline, but I just tell people to search Rob Murphy Music. They'll find me.
Yeah.
But it's yeah.
Well, dude, I again can't thank you enough. I don't think this will be the last time we chat, but
she's going to be like going through the editing, and she's going to be like, "Who's the Canadian with that friggin' accent?"
Oh, I love it. So this is actually, I'm actually glad you said that. Do you know Kelsey Kulik and Eric Etheridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know her. We actually, my wife, she wrote the song she wrote about her grandfather.
Yeah.
My wife still cries every time she hears it. We actually were at Third and Lindsay, and
Mm,
all of a sudden, this girl comes out with her Canadian tuxedo on,
yeah,
and we I met them, went up on, and I'm like, I'm from Cape Breton, and they're like, oh my god, we're from Alberta,
right.
and it was oh Jesus, it was really cool. Yeah, she's a sweetheart, and he's a really nice guy. I didn't know he was a musician when I met him,
Yeah.
and then I listened to his stuff, and wow, yeah, them guys are great.
Yeah, they're awesome. So we're doing something cool with them that I'll keep you posted about, just because they are heavily involved with my co-founder's nonprofit. So yeah, like we think that there's a good opportunity with them to kind of help with, there's things that we can help them with, and they can help us with some stuff. But yeah, man, everybody I meet from Canada is amazing. Everyone. So I haven't met anybody I don't like. So that's good.
We're good at acting nice. In our blood.
I love it. Well, dude, again, thanks for the time. Awesome chatting with you. Thanks for bearing with me.
Thank you. This is great. And again, I can't thank you enough. I mean, everything from heaven. I think it might have been you or I couldn't log in one time, and you were like, "Oh shit, let me see." Like
it's me, man. It's customer service all day, every day, pretty much. Sometimes, but I like that part of it, because then I can see at this, even though it's still early, like there's still those things that I go, what is causing frustrations and friction points, and some I can handle quickly, and some I get really frustrated by because I know that it's a problem. And then, when I've had to give a couple kind of like talks to some high school entrepreneur students, and when they're asking about challenges and those type of things, and it's like, I mean, it's not for everybody, but like the expectation of, in the early days, man, it's all you. Like no one's telling you, how quickly to respond to if somebody has, an issue. Like you got to do it whenever and wherever. And so now if you're in a different continent, different time zone, it's 3 a.m. like, and we don't have a automated system to help with that. It's literally just me on the phone sleeping. I'm like, oh, hold on, I'll get back. I didn't type that. I didn't type that right. But like, and I say all that just because I, am so appreciative for early users like you being patient when there's things like that come up, because we know that's all the stuff that needs fixed, man. Like, so I'm excited, and I think, if you don't mind, as we are getting ready to roll out these new features, I might grab you and kind of walk you through them just to get some user feedback, if you don't mind.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because we have always like our own group and the other, but like I want to start getting a big group of users to kind of see what we're doing on the back end and get their feedback.
Oh my god, I'd absolutely be interested in that for sure.
Well, you're my favorite, my man, but stay safe, stay well, and then I'll keep you posted on.
We're heading into lockdown again up here soon, I think. So
we're heading in that way. So
yeah, it sucks. We're right behind.
I'll keep you posted, but thank you very much. It was great talking to you.
All right, cheers.
All right, see you, my man.
All right, bye.